and I'll explain by asking you the same question. If it is men's duty in society to procure, refine, protect resources, which then men and women, or I'm sorry, women and children are the primary beneficiaries of, which they are, what societal duty which is equal to that do women have? What is it?
In this video, Andrew Wilson joins the panel on Piers Morgan Uncensored. Andrew Wilson goes toe-to-toe with a couple of feminists and fireworks ensue. With that, let's watch Andrew Wilson destroy feminism on Piers Morgan Uncensored.
And with these crazy ideas, right? Under patriarchal rule, under men, this would never have happened, right? If you look at how men vote, they vote against this nonsense. And it's fathers who are on the front lines against it. It's women who are trying to transition the children, not men. Give me a case example of where male fathers are trying to transition their kids. It doesn't exist. It's a female-only phenomenon. Literally a female-only phenomenon.
That is insane.
Yeah, show me one. Show me one male father who's fighting in the courts to transition their son to a girl.
Actually,
Nowhere.
I made a
That's a
podcast
reach.
series
I see men on
about this.
TikTok that are diseased.
I interviewed quite a few fathers that are pushing for this. But the point is that this is something that benefits men, and it's men that are the ones that are saying they're women. They are all of a sudden the oppressed, and feminists like me are the oppressor, and that they they're too weak and pathetic to fight and play against other men. And what do? They come and beat up on women.
Do you vote left, ma'am?
I don't know what vote left means.
Do you vote for the left-wing party of your nation?
Do you vote for Democrats?
Do you vote for what would be considered the Democrats of your nation?
No, I wouldn't have voted for the Democrats. I would not have voted for the disgrace of that party. And I also wouldn't have voted for Trump. But the point is,
if we look, hang on, let me finish. We'll follow up very quickly.
We live in a different context.
What I'm saying to you is this: it's very simple. If you look at the voting patterns of women in both the UK and the United States, they're usually the deciding vote when it comes to degeneracy. That includes it includes on the trans issue. So here you are. It's the very thing that you push for empowerment of women that is now causing your very problem. You have to now convince women. Men are already there. Men have already said, nope, we don't want this. We never wanted it. It's garbage.
To be women.
Yeah, apart from the women who are claiming to be men, which now it's almost equalized. You remember that part? Right? This phenomenon, though, is categorically rejected by men and reinforced by women. And TERFs like you did everything that you could possibly do in order to push that. You did everything you could do to push that. And now you get to reap the whirlwind. So I don't care if women in their sports teams are getting their teeth kicked in. I don't care. Reap what you sow. As you sow, so shall you reap. And you get exactly what you deserve.
You seem like a lovely person.
I'm sorry that you have to deal with the consequences of your own actions.
Yeah, it's funny, you know, the nasty right-wing misogynists that all of us on the right wing are the ones actually fighting for women now. We were never going to go along with your feminist garbage because it's just as wacky as men and women dressing up to be the opposite gender. But when there are real injustices like men that think they're women who want rights at the expense of women, real men will stand up against that. And what an interesting thing that Andrew Wilson said, that the deciding vote for or against degeneracy, not just in our country, but in society, women are always the deciding vote because the majority of men will choose the logically correct side of an issue. The majority of men. They'll say, yeah, this is ridiculous. Men can't be women. And the men are the ones that have to say, all right, this feminist nonsense is going way, way too far. You're not the same as men. We're not all equal. We're different for different reasons. And men and women complement each other. But as we know, the left and women have something very obvious in common. And again, this is the majority of the left wing and the majority of women. Not all, but most. Both of them make their decisions and arguments based on emotion. So they think they're being kind and sweet to say, well, whose business is it of mine? If kids want to be the other gender, that's up to the parents. I don't know, because I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings or come across as mean. So absolutely, women will always be the ones that are more responsible for voting in favor of degenerate behavior in society. Let's get back to the video.
On the subject of it, because Andrew made a lot of news on social media with his debate with Tommy Lahren
last week after accusing her of being a covert feminist. Just remind people of that clip which went viral.
Most men are born to be protectors and providers. I can't imagine my dad saying, you know what, to my mom, you know what, I'm not going to be a protector and a provider unless you do this. That's not how real men operate. Real men are protectors and providers, and they marry women who hopefully have some virtue, but also bring a lot to the table as well, that are great mothers, great wives, caretakers of the home. There's nothing wrong with being a traditional wife and mother.
So, Emily, where do you sit? Are you a covert feminist like Tommy? Did you agree with Andrew's assessment?
I'm not a covert feminist. I am very outwardly, you know, the word feminism has been hijacked by like the woke left, who uses it as an excuse for psychotic women and liberals to scream on the streets, we want equal rights when we have equal rights. I'm more so an empowered woman who encourages other women to, you know, be independent, work hard, chase your dreams. And that doesn't come at the expense of being feminine. It doesn't come at the expense of, now as a feminist, you need to eradicate all men. I don't think everything is so black or white. Listening to that debate, they spoke a bit about gender roles, and here's my take on that. If you're gonna have gender role expectations for your man, that's a personal choice. Emily Austin has high expectations of her man. He has to be working hard. He should be successful. He should, you know, pay attention to how I feel. Like, there should be certain gender roles. He has to provide for the family, not solely, but he should be providing for his family. These are gender roles. As a woman, I learned how to cook. I know how to clean. My grandmother always tells me, my mother tells me, Emily, you're going to be a good wife. You're going to be loyal. You're going to be supportive. You're going to act like a lady. Now, there's many women who don't want to play that into the gender roles, which is fine. But then don't expect your man to go out and become masculine. I think it's equal. Like, set the...
If you like watching videos like this one, like and subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. Let's get back to the video.
expectation, and then date people who meet your expectation. But in terms of covert feminism, is, first of all, it's such a silly term. Either you support women or you don't. And I'm not talking about the trans argument right now.
Not only is it not a silly term, it is true that most of the political pundit women on the right are covert feminists. And I'll just ask you the same exact question I asked Tommy.
Because the word feminism
Hang on,
got
let me finish. Let me finish the
problem.
question. Let me finish the question. No, I'm talking about all the way back to first wave feminism. Okay, you are feminists, and I'll explain by asking you the same question. If it is men's duty in society to procure, refine, protect resources, which then women and children are the primary beneficiaries of, which they are. What societal duty, which is equal to that, do women have? What is it?
Women, we're going to have children. Men will never understand the burden of carrying a child.
So you have a duty to reproduce?
I expect women to be able to cook and clean.
Wait, so you have women have a duty to reproduce?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. So that's the one duty
do.
that's on par. Great. So that's one duty that's on par with that. I totally agree. Are they? Or is it the case that in every single nation in the West, we are under reproductive rates in every single one of them? In every single nation in the West, we are lower than where we need to be for reproduction. So it seems that men are fulfilling their social duty and women are not. And the problem with the right is that the right doesn't ever address this, and right-wing females never address this. Instead, they say it's equal. Work and motherhood are equal. They're not equal. Not only
I agree with Andrew Wilson on most things, but what he just said, I think articulates a major problem with feminism. And maybe even, like he said, like some women on the right or people who don't even consider themselves feminists, the way Andrew just articulated that point, which is 1,000% correct, is maybe the best explanation / argument about the difference between men and women's roles in society. Because for a woman, working and having a career is not as beneficial as a woman who has children, is a great mother, and raises good human beings that will be productive out in the world. Because if women were to stop doing one of those things, we'd pretty much be seeing the end of the human race. While if women completely exited the workforce, and I shouldn't even have to say this, but I'm not saying women need to do this. His example is correct, and what I'm about to say is true. If women were to completely exit the workforce, society would continue to thrive and function with no problem. If men were to abandon the workforce and decide that they just want to sit around all the time, that would be devastating to all of society. And what will happen, I haven't seen this, but I don't think we have a ton more of this to go, but especially when you're arguing with women or the left wing. By the way, I'm really realizing how feminine the left wing is because most things I'm saying apply to the left as well. But what happens with Democrats and what happens with women when you're arguing something that is just a fact of the world we live in, like what Andrew just said, they will start saying, yeah, but, and giving anecdotes about this woman did this and this man did this, or examples where roles were reversed in an instance and it worked out well. They'll give examples of the exceptions to the rule, or at least they'll try to make that argument, and the conversation will go down a road that makes no sense because Andrew kind of already just articulated the conclusion of the whole discussion. Anyway, let's wrap up the video.
Not only are they not equal, but let me give you another example here. As you dive into this, try to understand that what you do is you actually hamstring women by telling women they should go and be girl boss babes and go to college starting in their 20s. They actually destroy their prime reproductive years. They destroy them by having families later. It's the primary
cause. Okay, that's silly. I'm 23.
Hang on, listen.
Not
it's
having
the
a kid anytime
primary cause
soon. My
for the
kids will be just fine.
reproduction crisis. It's the primary cause of the reproduction crisis in the West is that with women defer families till they're in their 30s. Why do you think the average age of marriage is 32 in the United States? I think it just got raised to 33. Yes, you're going to have way less kids. Okay, part of girl bossing is when you say career women are right on par with mothers. They're not, and society should be glorifying one, not socially shaming the other, but you shouldn't give them the same elevation you give to mothers and matrons of families. That is pure covert feminism.
Okay.
I gotta admit, I like Emily Austin, and I will give her credit. Compared to most women, she's not just freaking out and saying, yeah, I understand, like Tommy Lahren did, which, again, I like Tommy too, but she really made a fool of herself in that debate. Her points really got emotional, and it kind of demonstrated everything I've been talking about here. But again, I think Andrew just, in that short period, just dropped another couple stone cold facts that people can argue with all they want, but they're just true, and anybody who's objective will acknowledge that. Specifically when he said telling girls to be boss babes in their young years and they can wait to have children is a big problem, because obviously the older you are, the less likely you are to have a child. So if the average age of women having children is going up to 32 or 33, that is insane. That is outside of the prime fertile years for women. And he's right. The message is sent to women that you can have it all, have your career and party and sleep with whoever you want during your 20s. And then when you want to settle down later, you can have the family and kids too. And nothing will be lost from that. It's just not true. A lot is lost from that. And I think he also said perfectly, being a mother and women in the workplace are not of equal value to society. One should be celebrated above the other. And actually, Andrew he's usually very hardcore, but I believe he said it correctly as well, because I don't have a problem with women working. So like he said, women who work aren't to be demonized or criticized or ridiculed, but let's all just be honest with one another that being a mother is the single most important way that women can serve society. But what do you guys think about this debate? Do you think that it's important that women work? Do you think that women can have it all? They can party and work hard when they're younger and then have a family, and that's a good thing? Do you have a problem with the age consistently increasing at which women are giving birth? Let us know in the comments. Anyway, as always, really appreciate you watching, and we will see you on the next one.